Hey beauty, listen up. It's really quite simple. You're a divine soul having a human experience, and all the abundance you seek is available to you right now. Your assignment is to get out of your own way, become your most aligned and magnetic self, and open up to receive the desires that are placed in your heart. Because what you are seeking is also seeking you. Welcome to the Abundance Club. I'm your host, Amy Wilkinson, soul and abundance mentor and manifestation teacher, and I love that you're here. Let's go ahead and expand and play in this field of infinite potential. Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to the Abundance Club. I'm so delighted that you are tuning into this episode because it is a special one, and I'm really excited to share it. I had the pleasure of sitting down with the incredible Sydney Campos, and Sydney is among many things. She's a psychic and a visionary, an energy healer, and she's also an author. And we really dive deep into this transformative journey that we are all on, whether we like it or not, around embracing our true selves, navigating this ascension journey, and the importance of self-recognition and stepping into our power. And Sydney shares so much goodness in this episode. She shares about, really what it took for her to discover her spiritual gifts and to really bring her psychic abilities online. We talk about 5D business and navigating this conscious shift that is happening around business, and particularly those on this entrepreneurial journey. And Sydney shares some of her insights on how to create a thriving and sustainable business that aligns with your values and your well-being. We discuss the Ascension journey that we are all on, and Sydney shares bits from her new book, I'm Ascending, Now What? So really offers guidance in navigating the challenges of ascension. And then we also talk about some practical tools and tips. Like Sydney shares some really potent somatic practices that you can start to use, that you can start to tap into to bring your body and your nervous system into a really regulated place, and also to help you unlock your psychic abilities. So it is really cool. Episode is just such a beautiful reminder that we are all on this path together, and that it's now time, now more than ever, to embrace our gifts and step into our power and cultivate a life of lasting joy and fulfillment and abundance. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a healer, or someone seeking deeper connection and understanding, there is something in this episode for you. So we're going to dive on in right now. I hope you enjoy it. Okay. Welcome, Sydney. It is so lovely to see you and connect with you over the seas. Welcome to the Abundance Club.
Oh, I love that. I'm in the Abundance Club. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm imagining like a physical place we can like be in a dance party.
Well, you know what? It can be anything you want. And it's funny because when I started this podcast with the Abundance Club, I'm like, I'm so much more of an introvert, right? I despise any kind of clubs. But in terms of coming together, when I think about having to get together with a whole lot of people. However, I say with this club, it's like, this is the only club that you want to be a part of, and you can be a part of it wherever you are, right? It's like tapping into your abundance era. So on
Aw.
that, I want to know about you. So you're a psychic and a visionary and an energy healer, and you're also an author, which we will get to. But I'd love to start with, can you take us back on your journey to, this path that led you to this Dharma, to serve in this way and to build a purpose-driven business? Like, where in your journey was it that you just had this sense that this was the journey for you, that you needed to say yes to, whether whether you resisted it or not? What was that like for you?
Aw, thanks. I love this question. It's a different answer every time, I think, depending on the day and what's alive. I still feel like my path is really revealing itself in sometimes surprising ways. I mean, not as shocking as maybe in the beginning, but think something really important on the entrepreneurial Dharma path is just to stay curious and open and, I mean, really be a channel for something greater than you to move through. right? And so, I mean, it all started being born on Earth as a very sensitive being, and being born into a family that had a lot of yeah, just challenges with embodiment, addiction, trauma, all kinds of stuff, and yeah, and then learning kind of through my own shadow explorations and addiction and partying and just shutting off my sensitivity. I couldn't function with how much I was feeling and sensing from such a young age. I didn't know how everyone else seemed to be getting along. I felt like I just was like, what? How does everyone know how to do this thing? Like I feel so uncomfortable and I had paralyzing anxiety from a really young age. So when I found alcohol and drugs, it really saved my life at the time. I think I would have something else might have happened if I hadn't have found that. And then I got sober when I was 24 years old, and that really catalyzed my spiritual awakening and shocked me into, this awareness that, oh, I actually do want to live. I'd like to live on this planet. I tried to leave a lot and I wasn't allowed. And okay, fine. So, kind of a little bit self-righteously, okay, fine. So let me figure out how to like live. And basically just, went after everything I could find to start to feel better. So every modality, therapy, like really deep dive, energy healing, all the things. And as you yourself and maybe those listening might have found in their own journeys, the deeper we go and just kind of peeling the layers back of all the parts of us that are, operating in survival or fear or just, not our true selves, our gifts start to come online, pretty naturally. So I had very accelerated remembrance of my different abilities and kind of the dharma started revealing itself of I'm here to help people heal, much like on the path I've taken. Here to help people become who they really are, which usually means developing capacity to feel the things you've been terrified to feel and process, and free up that energy so that something new can emerge. And so that was 2011. Actually, tomorrow will be 13 years anniversary from when I decided to stop
Mm,
trying to kill
mm,
myself basically. So it's a pretty cool time right now, to feel that anniversary moment. But it's been a long journey. I've gotten to help, hundreds of people all over the world and retreats. And I also have this kind of weird story of bridging business always with consciousness and
mm,
energy.
mm,
Worked in advertising and media for a long time, and I had a major awakening through that process of, wait a minute, I don't think I can really be my full self when I'm in this office environment right now. And I
mm,
had to take the leap at that time. And it was 2016. And I left New York and I started a coaching business. And I really kind of came out of the closet as a psychic, as a healer. Whereas it didn't feel fully comfortable for me to do that. Even though I had been a practicing energy healer for years, I felt like I had to compartmentalize that aspect of me while I was in a more professional, like a corporate setting. So I guess I'm saying that because I think that probably resonates with some of the people who are listening who
yeah.
are at
I
that
think
moment.
it's really interesting, isn't it? Because for many, I think it's this reemergence, like this coming remembrance of our gifts and this coming out of the spiritual closet, if you will. But I love this integration of business with spirituality that
Yeah.
just seems to be, we're moving through a time where old paradigms are crumbling and we're going to see we're on this ascension journey, which I want to talk to you about as well with your book. What is that? Let's go straight into this business thing because you brought it up. Like, what does that look like now for those who are feeling the call to move away from more of the traditional structures and frameworks of business and follow more of a deeper calling? I know you're big on talking about like 5D business and what does that look like for people that are feeling like they want to start to shift and the old way isn't working? And I think many people are going to be embracing this, right, in business because we're
Mhm.
ascending and we need to keep up with that. So what does that look like for those that you work with and you
Yeah.
support on this journey?
It's funny. I got the message about 5D business like so many years ago. So many of the messages I get are like really from far. It's like, is this thing on? Like I'll be getting the message for something and it's just a little bit ahead of its time. So it's really cool now to feel like what you're saying. More
Mm,
people are opening and asking and curious about, I mean, it's simple as like, how do I feel better while running a business? How can I really take care of myself as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a leader? Wow, okay, there's a connection between my well being and a stabilized nervous system and presence and like how well my business performs and
Yeah.
success, or my receptivity to abundance and support and collaboration. It's just, and and then my favorite part is how, more people are feeling safe to explore energetics and consciousness and spirituality, because a lot of science is finally catching up too, and it's just more mainstream that, meditation is really good for you, and neuroscience, and reverse aging, and breath work, and just things that have been kind of practiced for thousands of years, are becoming more normalized again, and with credibility. So it's an exciting time. And when I speak about, I don't really actually use the term 5D business anymore. That was, it feels a little outdated. I like to say just conscious business or visionary business is one in which, as leaders, we know that who we are in all aspects of our lives, hopefully integrated, embodied, really in our power, aligned with our visions and our values, really clear on who we are. This is fundamentally required in order to really build a thriving, sustainable business. It's just embodiment is a requirement, really, if you want to have long-term success. And I find that, less and less, I think people have to go through the dark night of like burnout, or, their nervous system just getting totally fried, or toxic business partnerships, or whatever it is, before they're starting to realize, wait a minute, let me really take care of my well-being. Let me get really connected to my higher vision. Let me really connect to, what is my meaning for living? And how can
Mm,
that power really inform what I'm here to create and the business that I'm here to design?
mm. And that embodiment piece is so important, and you mentioned it before about, just giving yourself that permission to access how you're feeling, because I think for too long, and because we are bombarded with so many distractions that take us outside of ourselves and out of our body, that this pathway of embodiment is the only way. And I feel like also there's this shift from indulging in the things and the distractions and the substances, let's say, that are kind of shifting us out of that. But it can also be a really challenging path. And I want to talk about this in terms of ascension, because you've written a book, um, Ascend. Let's What was it called? I'm ascending now. What? I'm ascending
Like
now. What? I
lots
love
of
it. I love this. I love this. So this ascension journey that we're on, it's not an easy one, right? And yet it's one that we've all signed up for, and we're moving through it whether we like it or not. So with the book, like, what inspired you to write this book, and the main vision for it in supporting people, I guess, to also embrace and acknowledge the challenges that come with being on this ascension journey?
yeah. The meme that comes to mind, it's one of the most perfect images of like the answer to your question. And if you could imagine a carousel, and the idea is, we're on this ride, we're on this carousel, it's all fun and games, but it's on fire. And then like all the spirit guides are like, enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I
like,
love that. I've seen ones like that where he's just holding on, gripping on. It's
or
like,
my
you're
other
exactly
favorite
where
is
you're
like,
meant to be.
yeah, my other favorite is where there's like, pre-ascension or awakening is like, someone's drowning in a puddle. And then like post-awakening or ascension, empowerment is like you realize that it's your own hand holding down a shoe that's like holding you down in the puddle. It's like it's you against you here. You're in
So
your own
let's
way.
talk about that, because I love that. Let's talk about that.
Well, yeah,
All us.
to actually answer your question, I I my first book came out in 2018. It's called The Empath Experience: What to Do When You Feel Everything, and that was it's a big bestseller. It reached people over the world, and through that experience, I started to, just realize, wow, there's such a need for this information. I was seeing in my own work with clients, and through just my own journey. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, like there's a need for what I've like my take on this
Mm,
human
mm,
experience. Okay. And then there was a deepening that happened, so I spent about 4.5 years writing the book, but the idea came to me as a really divinely inspired idea. Part of my journey was working in 12-step recovery, just, to heal addiction and really to connect to God. That's what it's all about for me, and connect to my own source. And I had this thought around 2018 or so, this vision really to create kind of a basis of what I had learned in recovery, and then through some of my own, different somatic and embodiment practices, and also psychic development practices, what would the path be? Is there a step-by-step process for embodying your true self? Because I've lived it. I've lived a step-by-step process of sorts, and I wrote it almost as an integration for myself, as a recapitulation of what I had lived over a decade and what I had shared with many people, and just, I saw like, oh yeah, there's a formula, there's a process, and it was a bit of a challenge too. Like, can this be put into a process, into a formula? Can it be articulated? And, so it was my best attempt at doing so, and really the book it's a manual, it's really long, it's like 400 pages, and but it includes, I think, everything I've learned up until that point. It came out last year, around, how to embody your true self, how to own your power, and live your purpose.
And what are those somatic practices that you find have been life-changing or life-saving for you along the way?
So many, so many. I mean, they're all in there, and there's even more since then. And there will probably be even more. The most simple, powerful thing I ever learned was just, it sounds so silly to even say, it's like hidden in plain sight, but aren't the most powerful tools just like that? And just remembering to use the body, and to help the body function in the way that it's meant to, which is optimally. So, something that changed my life was doing daily passive, or just really slow intentional breath, where you start to build capacity, nervous system stability and capacity, to really slow everything down, the inhale and the exhale, and then also hold, retain the inhale and stay empty on the exhale for as long as possible, and just really building these muscles
Yeah.
of sense.
And it really is about building that capacity, isn't it? Like expanding that capacity to know that you are safe to call in what it is that you're seeking or what it is that you're here for, because I think that and nervous system regulation is so key. I mean, for me, that's everything in my work as well. So supporting people to do that. Um, and
Mhm.
so this is so you say that this is a bit of a guide book, and can you offer, I mean, do you offer in that, and can you share what to do when you bump up against these challenges, or what are some of the challenges that you find people do
Mhm.
bump up against on this ascension pathway? If people are sitting here listening going, how do I know if I'm ascending? How do I know?
Well, are you alive?
Mhm. You here on this earth?
If you're alive and you are conscious of being in a human body, you are ascending just by nature of being on this planet, which is currently accelerating in the rate of frequency, and just, vibration that we're all accessing, we're all receiving, and just so many infusions and influxes of, different energies from other dimensions, from other planets. I mean, just you can feel it, and this is all measurable too, with like Schumann resonance, and but we're all just speeding up, and we're all growing. And I like to simplify it to say, we're getting highly illuminated by light, and all that is not true is coming up to be felt, to be metabolized, to be purged. And so if there's resistance, or, there's discomfort to really feeling what is naturally coming up to face, that can cause physical problems that try to get your attention to finally feel the thing. It can be spiritual emergencies, it can be all kinds of different issues. I mean, psychically, mentally, and whatever it's going to take to get your attention to actually sit still and feel most
Yeah.
often.
And our triggers as well, right? They're the gateways. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I love all of this, and I think a lot of my audience as well are on this. Well, we're all on this ascension pathway, but that real conscious one where they're choosing to be embodied in this, because whilst we're all on it, we can kind of choose to go with that and embrace that and say yes to that,
Mm.
or we can resist it. Right? So I
Mhm.
think for those that are doing this, that are saying yes to this, that are consciously open to growing in this way, and are wanting to, I guess, bring their psychic abilities online and their intuitive abilities online. Like, what did that look like for you? Or what does that look like for you in terms of your most developed psychic senses or connection? What do you choose to connect with? What do you open up to in your
Yeah.
psychic abilities?
First, I want to say we're all psychic and highly empathic and telepathic. And it's just a matter of, as you're clearing out all the things that are not you and different coping mechanisms, survival strategies, conditioning, personality structure, just things that take energy to manage that aren't really authentic, that are not truly just your presence, which speaks for itself. As you start to let those things go, you allow for more space so that more of your energetic capacity can go towards your gifts, being empowered, being utilized. They just naturally come online. And now more than ever, this process can be so accelerated. It's phenomenal. It's so much fun. I see this in I train intuitive facilitators and we have the most fun and it's just such an accelerated journey. It can be if you're choosing, like you say, to really intentionally do this work of, really facing what can sometimes feel to be really tremendous pain and shadows and discomfort. But the only way, out is through. And it's also part of, I think, our spiritual and emotional maturity is to understand like this is part of being alive. We're always going to have more layers. There's always going to be more, even if we think, are we done yet? It's
Yeah.
never done as long as you're alive. And you learn to even enjoy those moments and learn to resource and reach out for support and realize how much intimacy and depth and connection can come from these shared experiences. And but yeah, to answer your question about what I tune in with, I really tune in with source. A lot of my journey has been, learning through the kind of the gateways of Reiki and Akashic records at the very beginning, and then quickly, through other different meditation techniques and yoga, breath work, breath movement, and sound practice. Generally, hundreds of hours of different meditation and embodiment practice. Just starting to feel like, okay, I can really connect with anything and anybody out there, but it's all, the strength and the clarity of my connection is really dependent upon how embodied I am in my own center and my center of self, and then my connection with source. So really, yeah, the foundation of my psychic healing practice is all about embodied presence.
Yeah. And then from there, what would you suggest would be some tips for people to start to expand their capacity then to receive those messages? Because I know a lot will get caught up in, is this my ego or is this my mind that's giving me these messages? So, and we're all developed in different ways. So, in supporting people to firstly
Mhm.
become embodied and really grounded in themselves, and then, where to from there in being able to support that and develop that channel a little bit more.
Yeah, I love this question. Thank you. This is what we focus on at the beginning of our soul source facilitation training.
Mm,
And, um, the other thing that comes up to mention is like when you start to expand to play in kind of multidimensional and different frequencies, it can be really overwhelming at first because so many of these fields we can play in are just from, they're kind of pure, unconditional, loving energies, and they can feel very overwhelming or even emotional at first to start to open up to. So a lot of people's first experiences with opening up to the higher dimensions can often be like just a lot of emotional purging and like really allowing, heart healing in a way can happen. And I'd say like just practically, in case anybody's feeling that right now, I guess felt called to affirm that that can be a part of the ascension journey is just to feel a lot of purging, a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, a purging of like unworthiness or like, the feeling of finally allowing spirit's love in, letting that really come in and feeling your own love of, you are love, feeling yourself, it can be overwhelming. Um, and yeah, I love the practice again, what I just described, which is the really slow breath to just calm and soothe the nervous system and allow like a lot of natural rewiring to happen that way. Um, Really simple thing you can do. It's so fun. It also just feels good immediately, is just shaking the body just for
mm.
like in 3 minutes a day. I have all my students do that for a 30-day practice every single day, shake at least 3 to 5 minutes to just it's like shaking out a dusty old rug. Like you don't have your rugs in your house just stay on the ground, it's stagnant, you like shake out the old stuff. And we need to do this with our bodies. Just think of how much energy we're constantly interacting with in our environment and out in the world. And so we want to clean it and shake it out. And then, of course, just tapping or, really kind of simple qigong practices like that to open up all the different meridians. And just like what feels good. It could be as simple as dancing, dancing to your favorite song. It's like the original energy healing.
I love that. I love when you say what feels good because I think also we can tend to overcomplicate it and think that it needs to be hard and things to be needs to be really challenging. And I love the simplicity of letting yourself feel, letting yourself come home to your body, appreciate, learn learn to let that love in, learn to open up your heart. And I think that we've been brought up in paradigms that have really made us contract a lot and not feel. So that it's such that beautiful embodiment journey of coming
Mm.
home to yourself. That's, that's just so magic. And I love that shaking. I mean, it's why we feel so good after movement and all of that. So what do you think are the practices that support you in this ascension journey, right? Like, let's look at the kind of light practices or practices that maybe that you find, or that the people that you are working with find that they start to get into and start to embody on this process that's really supporting them on this growth journey, because we need
Mhm.
to be resourced as we do this as well.
Yeah. Something I love to do with groups or if I have retreats or with one-on-one clients, I curate a customized energetic protocol for them based on what they need. But more often than not, all the different protocols are some combination of breath, movement, and sound. Sound meaning activating your own voice for your own sound healing, instrument
Mm,
essentially, and just it's hidden in plain sight. You don't, you're right. It gets so overcomplicated and commodified and weird. And, it's like we have these bodies that are masterful vehicles of innate healing and transformation and really, miraculous potential that we've barely scraped the surface of in terms of our true multidimensional abilities. And so I would suggest for anybody, kind of resonating with this conversation that, just what's it like to just commit to, the next week? It's another thing that I see a lot of people get lost in. They're like, I'm going to do this 3-month challenge or like a month long. Don't do it. Too much, too hard, too much stress. Just like give yourself a week. Give yourself even 3 days, like even just a day, like, okay, I'm going to try this new commitment. Try at least 3 days. That's good.
mm,
Incremental change over three
mm,
days. And then I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes and I'm gonna try some kind of a combination of a breath, movement, and sound practice that feels good for me. I'm gonna try maybe, a passive breath work or holotropic breath work or just, an ocean breath work, whatever. There's so many different brands of breath work now, which is
mm.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's
You could
very
even
on trend.
you can just try like breathing in really slowly, holding your breath for as long as you can, then breathing out as slowly as you can, holding it out empty as much as long as you can. So simple. Do that for 5 minutes.
Mm,
Then do some kind of 5-minute movement practice, like shaking or dancing for fun to your favorite song. Get your energy up, feel good, open your heart.
mm,
And
mm,
then practice toning. I think this is one of the most powerful things we can do. And it's so vulnerable and intimate when people start to unlock their voice and really, it's so interesting. Like singing can feel so vulnerable, right? And it really opens up our heart in such a deep way. And when we can use our voice and our sound healing, within our own body, we can really help to clean out old
mm.
cellular memory and just density that's no longer really in resonance. We are our own harmonizing agents, when we use our voice. And so you can start to practice by toning into different parts of your body where you feel tension or just also curiosity. Like, what does it feel like to tone into my foot? And you
Mm.
might then be like, "Oh, I can't do that. My breath, only goes up into my upper chest. Interesting." So then you start to play with your breath and you start to really see, okay, what's it like to breathe deeper into my belly or into my tailbone or into my hips, into my pelvis. And you just start to get to know yourself. You get to start to feel your body and your different access points and anchor points. We all have different ones.
I love that the tools that you're offering are so internal, right? It's like nothing that's outside of yourself. Like, oh, go
Yes.
out and get a Reiki healing and massage and all that. Like, it's just very much just in you and your body. And I think that that is so beautiful, right? We look outside so much for the answers. And I think such a big part of this journey is remembering the magnificence of who we are as vibrational beings. And I love that. I mean, that's new for me. I love sound healing. I do a lot with breath work, tapping, all of these beautiful somatic practices, but not so much the toning. And as you were saying that, I remembered I used to do a lot of toning um, when I was pregnant and during birth, because there's that connection of the
Yeah.
throat canal with the vaginal canal, and also with your womb space. And so I think that that's so beautiful in what it can activate in your creative, in your creative portal in what you're wanting to birth as well. So that's really beautiful.
It's awesome you mentioned that. Yeah, if you look at the anatomy of a woman on a, it's like if you had the throat and the vagina, the womb, if you like folded them, it'd be the same exact anatomy. They're like a mirror
Mm.
image. And so, I mean, it's coming up to mention like something I used to do a little while ago, and it just I guess it sounds kinda weird, but whatever. At this point, I've just tried everything that could potentially help me to feel better because I was so disassociated and had so much trauma. I mean, being in my body was the last thing I ever wanted to do. It
Yeah.
just my life got so painful that I had no choice but to ask for help, like, how to what do I need to do? Like, I want to be here.
Mm.
Um, one of the things I found, through a friend of mine in Bali years ago, we would just spend hours toning, and we would tone into our different organs. And you actually will find if you play with your voice and you get to know your kind of resonance enough, you'll find like you can feel density or the density present in certain parts of your body will arise through distorted sound, like if you tone
Mm.
into your liver and the sound is actually like very guttural and it's not harmonious. You can just keep toning into that place until the sound becomes more harmonious and it will just feel like it resonates more easily, and that is evidence as to how you're moving energy, that I believe these stuck energies are what lead to physical, ailments and
Yeah.
disease and issues and things. And so this is just a way I found personally that I can move stuck energy really effectively that way. And then you have the immediate auditory, or sometimes not immediate, but eventual auditory feedback of, that sound harmonizing, meaning that
Mm.
energy is more open and flowing.
I love that. I think that's so cool. And I believe the same. I think it shows up first in our energy field before it then manifests as something and something physical. And as you were speaking, I just heard the words like you're your own healer, right? We are our own healer. We're our own medicine. It's like what you touched on earlier in the conversation about like where I think I may have just be paraphrasing, but the sense that I got from it is like we're the only ones, like, we're the ones standing in our own way. It's up to us, right? And I think that we forget, and this is what I'm so passionate about is reminding women of just how magnificent, how powerful, and how incredibly capable and powerful and magic we are. And so in looking ahead in these next couple of years, because I know that we are ascending, Earth is ascending, we're all ascending really at a quicker speed than we ever have, and human residence is showing us that as well. Like, what do you intuitively feel is going, life's going to look like over these next couple of years as we're transitioning? What do you sense is going to be occurring for people in this pathway?
Hmm. Yeah, just I just heard the message, "It depends what you choose."
Yeah.
So, it depends what we choose, and I mean, I feel enormously optimistic and hopeful and kind of this building sensation even over the last couple weeks, like, "Oh, it's closer, this time that I've sensed for years. It's closer, it's coming, this like technological revolution of more consciousness, just higher consciousness leading the creation of all of our planetary infrastructure that supports humanity to truly thrive. And just people unplugging from the scarcity and fear and just really connecting to their hearts more. The energy currently accessible if we choose to be open to it, it's so healing for the heart and to open into deeper connection with spirit, with our guides, with ourselves, with each other. I mean, it's profound, and it's so contrary to some of the conditioning around like working and proving and unworthiness, and there's all these things, all these elements of the structures that be that are really predicated upon these myths of scarcity,
Yeah.
essentially. I see
I
that
love that you
dissolving.
said it's a myth, the myth. I love that you said it's the myth
Not
and
real. We're an
yeah.
abundant planet. We have
Yeah.
everything we need. Our bodies have everything that they've ever needed. We're just in a system that is literally built upon an illusion that there is not enough and that you are not enough and you need to buy things and seek outside of yourself to be enough instead of, all of that distracting you, instead of connecting to spirit or to source, to your true self, to your true essence, which is the end of the day, I mean, what we all want. Even I've worked with some of the most successful people in the world, and we all want peace. Like the outside
Yeah.
stuff doesn't, you can accumulate all of it as much as you want, and if you're not happy with who you are at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything.
I love that. I so resonate with that message, Sydney. It's peace that we want. We think it's the things. We think it's the stuff, right? That's the illusion. We think it's all of the things. And at the end of the day, all we want, all our soul wants is peace and to grow and expand. So this choosing, and I love that you said that as well, that it is a choice. Life
Mhm.
is going to reflect what you choose, what you believe to be true. So, what is your hope for people on this journey to really remember
Mm.
about the truth of who they are that's going to support them on their own ascension timeline?
Mhm. I love this conversation so much, and just listening to see that's a really beautiful question. Remember that it's meant to be more simple than you would ever think. Keyword being think. Get comfortable with not needing to think as much, that your true source self knows beyond anything you would ever need outside of yourself. You know. Just keep hearing that. You already know, you already know, we already know. And there's just this remembering and reminding. It's like it's all here already. And message I've heard, again, more loudly recently, but for years is stop seeking, permission to stop seeking and to know that you have found what is already here and to really allow your practice to be still and to enjoy and to receive, like receive what is already here, receive what is already here hidden in plain sight, receive yourself. They say receive yourself, receive yourself, receive yourself, receive all that's here, and really slow down. It's like that slowing down to really speed up. When we actually can slow
Yeah.
down, feel, and allow the metabolism, the body and the field to naturally do its thing, then we can do these leaps in, whatever we're manifestation and magnetizing what we need and the vision becoming more clear. And but it's so often counterintuitive, according to our
Yeah.
conditioning. It's intuitive for the body actually, but it's counterintuitive to the way we've been programmed and conditioned to work, 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 do, move, 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 act, 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 seek, 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 seek. It's like the carrot on the stick thing. You're never meant to actually get the carrot. It's just this thing like out there
I
that's like
know. You know what's so cool? As you're talking, I'm getting the same words that are coming through my channel that you are
oh,
saying as well. Like I was about to say, like this feels counterintuitive, but to our mind, not to our soul. To our soul, it's home, but to our mind. And I feel like we are still in a society that prioritizes the mind and thinking and logic and the to do and the hustle and yes, this is shifting, but to say that, which I know so much to be true about the slowing down, that it's here, that it's receiving, that it's not seeking. And yet I know that there is going to be people listening to this and going, yeah, but we're so still wired in our nervous system for survival and for our nervous system that can feel really unsafe to slow down and to stop and to receive. Like what can you offer for people to start to make that transition, but not just on an intellectual way, but from an embodied felt sense of like, okay, it's safe for me to do this. I mean, that is a practice in itself, right?
it's terrifying. Yeah, I mean, I told you, the last thing I ever wanted to do was be in my body. Are you kidding me? Then I'd have to
Ah,
feel insane trauma that it's carrying from so many generations in this life, and all I'm saying, what I'm saying to you too, I need to hear it myself again and again, and further
mm,
ingrain it in my own consciousness because I'm constantly refining my own depth of like how open am I to receiving? How much of today did I kind of waste energy in the mind and thinking or comparing or whatever my
mm,
strategies. I'm still human. I'm learning. I'm growing and evolving. But yeah. But at the beginning, I wouldn't be able to sit by myself. I used to be terrified of sitting by myself trying to meditate. I couldn't do that. I would have the loudest inner critic aspect of my internal sense of self screaming at me like a drill sergeant, abusing me in a way that I would never talk to my worst enemy, and And I thought everyone had that. I didn't know that that was, like, from trauma and growing up in a dysfunctional home and whatever. But I couldn't do any of this alone, I had to go to a gr I sought out 'cause I wanted to develop that safety and trust. I wanted it. I didn't know how to do it. So, of course, we're not here to do any of this alone.
Mm,
And especially at the beginning, we require community. You require support. You deserve support. We all deserve attuned, present, capable support to guide us, to help us, to just hold space, to witness. So much of the deepest. I love working with people around shame and like just it's like my favorite thing. A lot of my book is about shame and the different
mm,
shades of shame. It's really shame is what blocks our greatest power and our authenticity. And so it's just and it requires a witness. Some of the deepest emotional layers and traumas that are just like the heaviest sources of energetic drains we have as humans, so much of it can unwind actually relatively easily when just given a loving, present witness to hold space and
mm,
for you to finally feel safe to just say the thing that you've been holding and keeping to yourself your whole life. And we're here for each other. We're meant to be in community. And so much of our world right now, it's bizarre how distorted and far away we've gotten from our
yeah.
humanity. Where so much of and I'm a healer and I have a healing business and I'm a transformational coach and this is my work and livelihood and my dharma, but it's interesting to feel like so much of what is such a human need has become so commodified, whereas in more ancient traditions, and I think like health, like more sustainable, like long term, traditions that were on this earth for thousands of years, we had these elements of healing and support and community built into our society because we knew it was something we just needed and everyone deserved.
Mm,
And so that's something I just hold, and whatever I'm creating, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, like this is a human need. This is like human need. We need love and presence and support and attunement, and it should be a right. And it can be so scary when you're at the beginning and looking out there on social media. It's like, who do I even turn to? Who can I trust? Like,
mm,
who
mm,
knows? Who's safe? Like, who can help me? Where do I go? And
mm.
and so as leaders, as healers, I think we have a responsibility also to really to speak our truth and tell our story and be more than anything that an example of like what does it feel like to be in connection with someone who is embodied and present and real and has that capacity where you feel safe and you feel like you can really feel the trust and safety in yourself just by being with them. So those are the kinds of leaders I like to work with and empower.
So transformational, right? Just and to be in that safe space where you can be received and seen. And I think that that's something that we all call in when we're on this conscious. When I say conscious, it's like we're choosing, we're saying yes to this, we're saying yes to growing. And I love that you mentioned that about, you're not meant to do it alone. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be connecting. And particularly for entrepreneurs, I think that it can feel like a really solo
Yeah.
journey as well. So to have those touch points of connection and women being with other women, and just letting that in as well. And I guess
Yeah.
with that, sometimes I think it's worth mentioning on this ascension journey as well that that might mean saying no to situations, environments, people, practices that no longer feel safe for you. Can you speak about that? I mean, how has that been on your journey? Have you found that there's been a lot of no's and boundaries that you've needed to bring
Oh,
into
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Constant refinement, and you said something really important too about kind of the sisterhood wound and also, like, lone wolfing as an entrepreneur and how, there's a lot of people in transformational work and healing work or even in like, I work in I'm in a startup and work with founders and executives and, like, I'm in New York City, and so I'm kind of in these really interesting different echo chambers and, this isolation, that people are feeling as leaders is so real. It's actually, I would say, like, almost at a crisis level in some ways of, like, loneliness, loneliness even within companies, within our society. We're so hyper connected on all these different digital fronts, but we're actually not really connecting in the deeper ways that are truly nourishing to the system. And people are forgetting how to communicate authentically and how to create true intimacy, especially
Yeah.
like some of the younger people that have grown up with the phone in their hand. And so these are some things that inform the context in which we are living. And then the sisterhood wound thing of like, having a challenge of really trusting other powerful women or powerful beings, to really be real and be vulnerable and come off of the pedestal and just be a human and receive support. And I feel like I've just been through such a gamut of experiences, in the last 10 years, and just I have such a deep calling and desire to create in-person communities where people can feel really safe to deeply connect and share their vision and be really in their power and be
Mm,
welcomed,
mm.
welcome to lead in a circle of powerful leaders, fellow leaders, where it's truly emergent and collaborative and co-creative. And there's just this sense of like really giving people full agency, like it's allowed. What are we creating here together? And even me as a facilitator, I don't know what's going to happen. I surrender. What wants to
Yeah.
happen through the intelligence that's much bigger than me, and being willing to let go of any sense of control of what needs to happen, within the confines of a container and agreement field. But so this is what we're emerging into, is like more of this co-creative community, leadership. But it's calling people to rise into a different level of maturity and self-worth. And it's like, oh, am I a leader? Am I a powerful being? Like, do I deserve to be seen? And can I be seen and witnessed and real and held? And it's so intimate and it's so vulnerable. And it's also just, it's the best feeling. I don't know if I answered your question, but it was a lot of tangents that
Mm,
you threaded, and
mm.
that was so good.
No, I love that, and the vulnerability piece is really big, and also the amplification of what happens. You would know this in facilitating groups and retreats. Like it's just such a powerful amplification that happens of our vision and of our energy when we're in group environments, right? We know how powerful that is. So I guess, for those who are listening, to say, when you are on this ascension pathway, when you are choosing to, and you're feeling like you're in an environment, perhaps in your world, where you're not connecting with people who are sharing similar views, or you don't feel like it's safe to come out of the spiritual closet for fear of being judged or misunderstood,
Mm.
to seek out those communities where you can be received to be all of
Wow. I remember you asked about boundaries and
yeah,
no's and discernment. So important, so crucial. It's like it's a requirement. It's such, and so much of that requires also letting go of the people pleasing and being a nice girl, and
hell yeah.
everyone needs to understand me, and just whatever, diminishing your power and all the ways we're conditioned, especially as women, to diminish our power in the way we speak. Something I love to, really entrain with all my students who have that conditioning, which I used to have, of saying something really powerful, like straight channel from source, and then I don't know. No, you do know. You just said something incredibly powerful. Own it. Don't say I don't
Mm,
know. Not allowed.
mm,
So I
mm.
love to interrupt people and actually be like, don't say I don't know. Stop it. Like,
Yeah.
you stop, just be powerful, be in your power, feel it. Don't diminish. And
Mm,
even that right there, that can be major. I had a memory recently come up of a mentor a long time ago she challenged me to just not smile. Like, just see if you can go one day without smiling at everybody. Because for me, I mean, I'm naturally a pretty joyful person, and I genuinely do enjoy smiling and laughing a lot because I think reality is hilarious.
mm,
It was really challenging for me at the time to really transmute that people-pleasing conditioning, like the mask of the nice girl, just smiling to appease. And so it was a really powerful practice to consciously, even if I wanted to in the moment, smile, just practice working the muscle of like, no, and
mm,
just dropping into a deeper sense of self and power. And really, I don't know, it really changed a lot for me to do that. And that's something we can all practice and try. It's like building that new muscle. And then, the yes becomes a hell yes. And you know how it feels in your body. And then the smile and the joy, it's genuine. It's not fake. It's like real. And another message coming through really lately a lot is, not everyone deserves your energy. Especially starting out a business or a brand, building a community, there can be this conditioning of like, I have to reach everybody and like more is better. And see a lot of founders burn themselves out trying to give to everybody. And also that pattern of giving to everyone else as a caretaker instead of really taking care of yourself first to serve from overflow, which often we learn to do the hard way.
mm.
Um, you know, not everyone deserves your energy. And actually, the way to build a really powerful brand or community or whatever it is you're putting together is to have that really high level of discernment, which comes from knowing your value, knowing who you are, knowing, the truth of what it is you're doing. And it's really not for everybody, especially if you're creating
Yeah.
something new and visionary and it's on the cutting edge. Like most people aren't going to get it. Don't translate down to try to reach people that aren't actually even meant to get what you're doing. Focus on really articulating your truth in a clear way that feels empowering for you, and trust that maybe not all the people, but definitely the right people who are very easy. There's a sense of ease in being together, and it's so priceless, that feeling of resonance. It's the
Mm.
best feeling. And there's just no efforting, especially if you're in a teaching dynamic or, training, and it's priceless. It's the ultimate gift. It makes
Mm.
me laugh that they even have a business around some of this stuff because I'm like, this is such a gift beyond my
Mm.
understanding, to reconnect with souls from so many other lifetimes, that somehow we find each other again because of resonance, because
Yeah,
of
and
this.
they've got likely got soul contracts with you as well to come in and work with you, your clients, and I mean, I really believe that. And I think
Yeah.
that is something that you said about, not everybody is for you. And I think that it's so liberating when we can accept that not everyone's gonna like you, not everyone's gonna resonate with you, and that's okay. I mean, it would be strange if they did, right? Like, I think it's really freeing as an entrepreneur, particularly if you're at that part of your journey where you are needing to put yourself out there a little bit more. And I know the thing that we bump up against is fear of judgment
Mhm.
and letting ourselves be seen. But I think what you said, it's just so impactful to say, like, it's okay. I'm here and I am serving the people that I am meant to serve, and everybody has a choice. They can opt out, they
Mhm.
can choose another path for them, and I'm okay with that. And it just really clarifies your vision, and I think that that allows the people that you are going to serve to find you, to be in resonance with you. So thank you for stating that, because I feel like that's really important on this conscious entrepreneurship journey,
Mhm.
because I feel like it's the biggest personal growth journey. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have some level of insanity to sign up to be an entrepreneurship that, in this world at this
Mm,
time. It's the
mm.
ultimate. I mean, these are my favorite people, the visionaries, right? We see the future we wish existed. We know we're here to create it. And so you have a certain level of that courage and just like wanting to really break through all the different molds. And so you sign up for the ultimate transformational journey, of course.
Mm, mm, mm. And you can't hide from it. It's like you can't hide from yourself when you say yes to that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's just how it is. Um, I have loved this conversation so much, Sydney. I love your energy, and thank you for being you, and for saying yes, and the journey, undoubtedly the challenges of the journey that it's taken you to honor and say yes to your gifts. But I really honor that in you, and I thank you for that. How can people find you, reach out to you, get your book? I mean, I'll put all this info in the show notes, but is there anything you want to share there?
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been such a pleasure, and I love that. It's just ease and flow and resonance, and I love the messages that come and the similar channeling happening. I love that so much, the mirroring. Yeah, everything is on my website, just my name, sydneycampos.com, and then the book is imascendingnowwhat.com. And reach out to me on Instagram. You can send me a note through my website, and yeah, I would love to know if there's questions that arise from this conversation or how you connect with us, and anything that we brought up. Yeah.
And I'll put a link to buy the book. The book, you've got 2 books, so I'll pop them both in there as
Thank
well,
you.
which is great. I was saying to Sydney before this conversation, like, to have resources to support you through this, and in that being like a manual and a guidebook. I'm like, yes, right? Like, this is something that we need. So if you're on this ascension pathway, which you are, everybody is, go out and and grab this book. I mean, why wouldn't you? So yeah, definitely say yes to that. Your energy is wonderful. I think that Brooklyn is like the coolest place. I've never been there, but I just imagine that it's cool. So
Pretty It's pretty special, and I live by Prospect Park, and so it's like this big it's kinda like the Central Park of Brooklyn, it's
Mm,
huge. I was just really taking in the beauty today, like, wow, this is incredible. Like, I could just walk over to this lake that's 20 minutes from my house and be immersed in trees and, really, yeah, just connecting with the land and we're on a playground planet. I always remember try to remember that when things feel a little bit crunchy in the physical world. It's like,
mhm.
"Wait a minute, I'm on a playground." Like, "Okay, time to have fun. What's something I can do to enjoy myself right now, even if it's like a 20-minute break or 30-minute break to resource, you know?"
I think that's such a great note to finish on because I mean, and I find the same. For me, it's like getting out in nature. If ever I'm feeling funky or unsure, or I need that guidance and that connection with spirit, and I'm not feeling like the channel is clear, it's like nature, getting out in nature. And I love that, like the playground
Mm.
aspect of it. And also, I just reflected on something that you said earlier about, like feeling good and how feeling good, letting ourselves feel good, and that being such a powerful potent portal into, I believe into receiving, allowing ourselves to receive the abundance that's here for us hidden in plain sight. So
I feel like I have to just share one more small story to that point because it's actually in my book and it's one of my favorite moments. It's about this. So I was hosting a retreat in Sedona years ago, and I in my retreats I like to surprise people and say, like, what are you going to facilitate for us today? And because I just see everyone as an incredible leader and source point with gifts to give, and I love to give people that space to feel safe to practice if it's for their first time or with other facilitators or whatever. And so in the Sedona retreat, this guy who was in our group, he's like, I'll lead the meditation. We were all in a hot tub. He's like, I'll lead the
mm,
meditation. We were all expecting, I was expecting, I think we were all expecting like a guided meditation of like, like breathing, like tracking the body, whatever. First thing he says, feel good now.
yeah.
And it like broke my brain. I'm like, oh, I could just feel good. Like, oh, wait, like feel good. Just feel good. Feel good. Feel good. Allow the body, like, wait a minute. And it was such
Mm.
a deep transmission that he just like broke our brains and reminded us, oh, I can just choose. Where do I feel good right now?
I mean, how many of us need to hear that message? Right? And
So
again, it's the simplicity of it and how like you get to choose, right? You get to choose what you're available for, the hard or the play and the joy, and give yourself permission to do that. Ah, the world will thank you for it, right? The world needs more of that. Imagine if were more in play and letting ourselves feel good, what type of world we would be living in.
sign me up.
Sign me up. That's the newer. That's what that's what we're saying yes to. Yeah. I love it. I love this conversation. Thank you so much, Sydney. And hopefully we will connect again somewhere along the
Yeah,
pathway.
thank you.
Take care. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Here are 3 key takeaways. Number 1, embrace your inner healer. Sydney articulated that we are our own healers, and this journey of self-discovery and healing requires us to look within and recognize our innate power. So by tapping into our own bodies and using practices that we all have access to, like breathwork, movement, and sound, we can release stuck energy. We can allow our true selves to emerge. So remember, the answers you seek are often hidden within you. Number 2, the importance of community. We discuss the significance of finding a supportive community, especially for those on this conscious awakening journey. And Sydney emphasized that we are not meant to navigate this path alone. So really surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who uplift and empower us can create a really safe space for vulnerability and growth. So whether you're an entrepreneur or simply seeking connection, don't hesitate to seek out to those who resonate with your journey. We have a beautiful community here at Light Place as well, and the Light Path Collective, so you can always join our membership and grow alongside other like-minded souls. Number 3, choosing to slow down. So in a world that often glorifies hustle and constant doing, Sydney reminded us of the power of slowing down. So it might feel counterintuitive, especially when our minds are so wired for action, but taking the time to be still and receive can lead to profound shifts and insights and clarity. So this practice of slowing down allows us to connect with our true essence and align with our higher purpose. Okay, that is it from me. I would love it if you could share this episode with someone who you feel would benefit from it. And please follow us along on your podcast platform, on your chosen platform, and write a review. We would love that so much. It keeps the airways open and it keeps the love moving through. Okay, thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Lots of love.